All right, all right, all right, right, all right. Yes, guys, I am in my rehearsal wear. Let's see. I am late. So late. Let's see. Let's see who all is gonna jump on. No, I think my audience, just about everybody's sleeping right now. All right. Wonder who's gonna come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Nobody is coming on right now. Trying to get out of church. Supposed to be out of here before 9 o'clock. Just leaving church right now. All right. Oh my gosh. All right, man. It's so weird. It's the thing about doing lives. Um. All right. All right. Oh, Father God, thank you so much for your love, your mercy. Um, Tonight was a hard night in rehearsal. Um, I guess that's what I get from being away for like 2.5 weeks. Um, so asking you that you cover my praise team members. Um, it's hard for us to get in. We're trying to worship. Hey, we got one person. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm here to talk about my new book that I just released today. It's yes. Oh my gosh. Hey, what's up? So yeah, it's just us right now. I'm just waiting for more people to come and join in. But yeah, I got my new book that's out. You can get it at Apple bookstores. It's my name, Kingsley K. Charles. Um, Kingsley K. Charles Case with a K. The book is called The Fruit of Truth: Uncovering God Beyond the Lies. That's what it's called. So I'm just here to talk more about that. And let's see. Come on in. You got another person in. Shout outs. Let me do some shout outs. All right. Um, it's Mila Bowens. That's how you say it, or is it Mila? Did I say it right? Let me know. Give me a nod. So, I had a new book. The first one? Okay, okay. Yeah. Okay, got it right. All right. Awesome. So, I'm trying to pack up my stuff and head home. Just got out rehearsals. I'm preparing for installation service and stuff like that. So, that's what's going on. But my new book came out today. It's on Apple bookstores. It's a really good read. It's like a Reader's Digest type deal. It's not it's not too intense. I kind of give a perspective. I present an argument, and within our argument is not to kind of like alienate people or make people feel weird and be like we're all liars and we've lied to everybody. It's not that kind of book. It just dives into some principles I think that and some things that we look in the Bible so literally that were meant to be guides for us to discover God genuinely in our lives. Um, and so it's a really good read. Oh, I lost one. Um, but I hope people will get the book and go and download the book and check it out. Um, Yeah, I mean, I do too. I really do hope it goes well. It's a really great read. It's one of the biggest books I've written so far. It's my tenth book overall, um, and I have about two more to go. And I think I have 11 books overall, but one I haven't released just as yet. Um, so it's a lot of books, but this one, um, it's really nice read. Reader's Digest should be fun. Um, Rehearsals went a bit late. I would have been on much earlier, but we had rehearsals, and I'm just shutting down all of the equipment. Then going to get out of here and then go home. But I wanted to talk with about that real quick. The book is really well. If you printed it, it's like 37 pages. It's really more than that. It's probably like 67 pages or something like that. So, but it's a good read. Flowable. It flows really well. Um, I use some names. I use some names in the book. When you're doing all the research and you're researching names, you find out that there's some names that are hard for you to say as well. So I imagine um, that breaking down of the names and keeping it a bit more simplified is, not to be such a sophisticated book that, causes people to run away from it and not want to listen to it. But it's a good read overall. It kind of touches about relationships. So in my life, one of the hardest places for me in my relationship with God, um, I thought was 2022, and then last year happened when my Grammy passed, my grandmother, and that same year, um, just about 3 4 months before that, it was my young cousin that died from drowning, and then just about 2 months prior to that, or less than a month prior to that, my uncle had passed. And so it just put me in a place in a different perspective of really wanting to. I was really at a place of knowing what my uncle was dealing with, what he was suffering with, and praying for healing and praying for healing. And then, he just went. It just he went through a lot of pain, and then the year before that, my uncle, who just passed like instantly, um, as he was walking out of the bathroom or something like that, he just passed. Or it was just crazy, the losses. So I lost four persons in my life within less than 2 years, and then I prayed for my Grammy, went to church, and we prayed and we fasted for healing. And 86, 87 years of age, she passed. um, Very heart wrenching. And so it put me in a perspective out of, as I'm journeying, I was just wondering, like, you know uh, I guess this is some reality that we all have to face, whether we have it's not whether we have enough faith, small as a mustard seed, and we can say to a mountain to be thou removed and cast into the sea, or saying that we lack the faith, um, to speak healing in the lives of others around us. But it's like, what do you do when you know you have that faith? You have the faith, you believe, and you're faithful to the cause, and you love the Lord with everything you got. And the number one thing you're realizing is that you're really running and facing this race, and you're enduring the fight, and it's just it's painful. It's painful because you're thank you guys so much for the love and the hearts. It's painful because you're realizing that within the midst of all of this, it's not people say, "Oh, you're being tested, you're gonna get stronger," or whatever. For me, it's like, maybe we don't know God as much as we think we know God and his purpose for the life that we live. Because a lot of people, we've lost a lot of persons, and I know I can't just be me who's prayed for healing, who's prayed for recovery, who's prayed for situations to change that just don't change. um, and we've lost, and I've lived long enough in my life that I've seen so many losses and come to a place where I'm like, Well, God, you are for us, you're not against us. God, I know those things that you said are true, but the systems that's been placed to encapsulate us and cause us to think a certain way, maybe those systems are not belonging to you. Maybe those systems that we've been taught to accept this way, because I can't be the only person who've had a loss, and I've been put in that perspective to be like, man, you know, is Christianity really a real place to be in? Um, so it's a lot of that stuff that's going on. Oh wow! But I just want to thank all those who came on and checked out everything and sent some hearts. Appreciate you guys for coming on. But the new book is out. The book kind of talks about those things. It's not about that heart wrench. I don't dive too much into the losses that I endured, but I kind of talk more of like, where um, do we have a definitive view of who God is? Um, thank you. Yeah, thank you guys so much for your kindness and just being here and sitting through this dialogue. I just really want to say though, it does mean a lot because at the end of the day, I think a lot of persons are out here that just need to know that they're not the only ones alone, and maybe it's that little bit of confusion that causes so many to not only walk away from the faith, but also walk away from just having a care for humanity in a way. And a lot of people, you lose more of their care for humanity because once they're met with these circumstances, and even though people go back and say, "Oh, but look at Job," but I was like, well, yeah, Job went through greater losses, but then he regained these things. But am I going to regain my grandmother? It's like I'm not going to. Where am I going to regain her other than if for those who believe in heaven and a place that's beyond this world. Um, so when you look in that perspective, it's like the only thing I have left of her is the memories. And so I'm holding on to those memories and hoping that the memories that I have are going to keep me peaceful and positive about the future. Thank you for coming on. I see another person dropped on. Uh, so it means a lot to me to write these pages so that I would share an argument that doesn't um, lie or you know tells some sort of fib about Bible teaching or something like that. I just tackle stuff that's already out there. I address them. I put it in a book and I talk about them, and then I leave it up to you guys to decide what you believe and what you want to stand with far as truth go. But I know when you're in a place of pain, it's hard to shift from a place of pain where people are telling you, "Oh, well, you didn't have enough faith." What do you mean? Like it's not true. Saying that someone doesn't have enough faith is not always the case. There are cases where people don't have enough faith and they're not cases. There are people who have tremendous faith and they believe that they'll be healed. They believe that they'll get through it, and they've not given up. It's just that their bodies just couldn't handle it anymore. They just weren't healed. Nothing happened, and a few people admit that. And I just wondered if because healing has not been so prevalent in some areas in our lives, whether or not that means that we are not really discovering God, or we've lost that discovery and that part of who God is, and the make our makeup, like what makes us unique. Um, because we can do so many incredible things, and yet that one thing troubled me. Those losses, that was tough. Like to go through tremendous losses like that, I can't imagine people going through losses and facing such losses, where they're enduring such painful experiences like that, and then someone walks up to them and be like, "Oh, you didn't get any healing because you lack faith," or someone came up and says, "Oh, well." you need to pray harder, or you need to fast for 40 days and 40 nights, so I'm just like, it's not how it works. It does work like that when you're led on a fast, when you do go into prayer and you do seek God's face, but believing without a shadow of doubt, it's a very unique place to be in, and so I just kept in mind all of those persons who would have went through really intense issues like that and didn't have an opportunity to even voice their concerns with a body of our community that prejudged them and or shared some disparaging thoughts on their situations without talking to them and finding out, how they feel about it, and how many times they prayed and hoping for healing, or how many how many kids prayed for their parents not to get a divorce and yet their parents ended up getting a divorce. Or how many times kids who prayed to meet their dad someday and they never met their dad, they never met their fathers, and they never gained a new one. And it's a lot of weird stuff that we kind of structurally overlook in sermons and even in workplaces where it's overlooked in society, where people have normalized so many things and made structure so many things just to keep us in order, to keep us flowing and keep us um, in a form of obedience, and without us being like, in a place of well, what they would call us, where we're defiant and we're too bold, we have too much of ourselves, and I think that's the confusion. It gets a bit confusing when it comes to that, but I believe the new book is really one that should inspire people. And I just wanted to come on and be like, hey, look, I got a new book. Spent about 20 minutes on here saying, talking about the new book and some chapters on it, and just showing some history of places that I've been, not been, but studies. And probably took me maybe 20, maybe not 20 years, but let's say it took me 10 years to write this book. um Coming back home, and I would say from 2013 or more, so it's probably more than 10 years in writing this book. And it's a short one too. You'd think it'd be longer, but it's just you get in a place where you understand when losing faith, you're losing faith, but I think a lot of people go through that stage, but I think it's because we're looking at God as this extension of us, or this being that's outside of us, not a part of our DNA, not a part of who we are, and our makeup and stuff like that. So we keep on putting God in the sky or something like that. Like we allude him to the clouds, the skies, possibly the wind, or the oceans, but we never allude him to our being, like who we are too. And I think that depth of knowing that anointing and that discovery is what shifts us to a different place. And like tonight was tough for me. We're rehearsing and going through rehearsals, and I know everyone is having a hard time. I know everyone's dealing with stuff differently. I know all our bodies are not the same, but I know we have to get through this rehearsal and push on. And then it's harder at the same time because some of us won't be able to push on to that next level. And you pray for healing in that perspective, but then you still don't see um, healing for the ones that you've prayed for, and that's tough. It's tough for me, and that I think it's tough for a lot of persons out there. So a lot of persons who've been faithing it, and not getting responses from God. I write a perspective that I hope that will shine some light, that will give you peace, and not be so consumed with, I guess, all the normalized things that are around us right now in society. So if you guys get a chance, check out the new book, uh, The Fruit of Truth, on discovering undiscovering, uncovering God beyond the lies. And I'm not calling preachers liars, not calling, I mean, there are liars out there, but I'm not calling preachers liars, not calling governments liars or whoever or whatever. It's not about that. Um, and being in a judgmental place or gossiping about movements and this one and that one. It's really just sitting down and trying to point to everything that came out of the Garden of Eden, point to everything that Noah's Ark was supposed to point us to, everything that Abraham was supposed to point us to, everything that um, just understanding eternal life and youth and the fountain of youth and all this other stuff and just really continually having a breath of hope and giving people something to hold on to than them losing hope in who God is. And because the extension of seeing it to believe it has not come through or fell through. And a lot of us go through this long periods of time where we're not going to see it. And a lot of us are not getting at this stage where we believe it. And it's going to really be, it's going to set us back, you know. Um, I also realized too that we're in a season where we just got to trust on God and depend on God and believe in God and hold and stand in who He said He is and but the honest truth is telling somebody that who's gone through great loss, like if someone walked up to me and was like, "Oh well, your Grammy didn't have faith that she'll be healed," that would just destroy me because I've known her to have faith all of her life. So it wasn't about that, and so for me, I just took the natural perspective to that. Maybe that's the way things are. So if things are that way, then that's the way society goes. And then a lot of things that we've been taught and that's been teaching us certain ways has been denying us the truth that these things have to happen. Like it's just natural for these things to happen, and so it's natural for you to be stressed out sometimes and go through stressful situations. It's natural to to have experience anxiety. It's natural to experience stress. And it should be normalized. It's natural to um, talk about mental health issues or whatever the case may be, or address these things, and vocalize these things. Those are things that should be natural. And I think the cutthroat in placement gets a little confusing, but I don't want to keep too long. I'm already went over my 20-minute mark. I'm past that. So I just wanted to come on here and just give you guys a shout out and say, look, check out the new book. It's a really great book. I hope you guys enjoy the read. I hope you continue to check it out and I'll talk more about it. I'll probably come online again tomorrow and talk a little more about it. Maybe spend about 5 minutes or 7 minutes or so and talk about it. But thank you guys for stepping in. It was hard for me to talk about my Grammy, my uncles, and my young cousin. Those are really hard subjects on my heart. But I just wanted to show those just to be like, you do get to that place where you'd be like, man, maybe we're so detached from God that we're not able to do what Jesus did with healing the blind and healing the sick and and multiplying food out of nothing. And so it's so much stuff that I feel in the need to really seek God and seek His face instead of seeking the extensions that are out there. All these things that we've been prone to accept to align us to say that, oh, we're doing it for God, we're doing it for the gospel. It's gonna, and then Jesus just comes and feeds 5,000, and then He feeds another, then, and then He just heals people, and just consistently healing people, and and we hardly hear stories like that now. Um, and if we do, like they're once in every million and maybe one in every billion now. And people who say they're healed, they go from being healed one day and then the next 4 months or 2 years from now, you hear them talking about their arm is hurting again, that same arm or that leg, or the cancer is returned or whatever the case may be. And then people be like, oh, that's because they have sin in there. Like they sin, they've fallen. And I'm just like, why do we always think that? Why do we not think that they're they're in a natural state? Like that's how their body's been made, and they're in a natural state. In that natural state of their bodies, that's what's happening to them. And naturally, they're if they perish to that disease, it's because that's the natural state of their bodies. That's what was meant to happen, and God allowed it. So obviously, it has to be meant to happen. If He wanted to change the dynamics of them, then their faith alone and wanting to be healed and be delivered from that, and it should not return to them. But if it returns to them, it's not because they lack faith or they lack loving God or they just fell into sin and they just fell into something worse, which is true, by the way, too, that you could fall into something worse if you go into a life of sin for sure. But I just wanted to put some perspective on the book I wrote. Hopefully, it goes well. Um, I'm stepping out on faith. I guess everybody dropped off or they're all in bed now. So, for those who are checking this out in the morning or later on at night, I hope it blesses your heart. Some of the stuff I shared. My focal point is to heal some hearts that maybe left the church because you thought people misunderstood um, your losses. And maybe you detach yourself in ministry because people didn't really know what to say. Some people probably still don't know what to say. My hope is that you'll be encouraged and to not lose hope and just keep going and you discover God deeply in your life and not to give up on God just because you feel God has given up on you or your belief in God or the systems surrounding who you thought God was based upon those systems you've learned failed you. And because systems will fail and a lot of the things that we've been taught from growing up has not always been right. So um, a lot of people are out there now teaching it and sharing this information that's out there. So some of the stuff I'll share might not be new, but I'm just putting it in perspective. And so you decide how you take it, and I hope you read the book. Until then, God bless. And for everyone who came on here, just to send a shout out, send a heart. I really appreciate you guys. So we're small, but I'll take what I get. Until then, love you guys. You guys have a blessed evening and hope to share more on the book and what's been happening with the book. Until then, the book is on Apple Bookstores. You can search Kingsley K. Charles Case and you should find it with the rest of my books up on there. All right, till then, have a good night. Grace, peace, and love, y'all. All right, peace. All right, all right. How do I stop it?